spend 10 minutes on this new laws that's being proposed, both in the national government and in Illinois in particular. Let's get into it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
President Biden celebrated the holidays with a bill signing blitz on Christmas Eve. He is now on his way to the U.S. Virgin Islands to spend time with his family the week leading up to New Year's. But before leaving, the president was busy able to sign 50 bills into law, including one that formally makes the bald eagle the country's official bird. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland joins us now with more on all of this. Scott, good to see you. So what are some of the other pieces of legislation that Biden signed on Christmas Eve?
This whole range of things that is now law, starting with bald eagles and concluding with a hazing bill that many people, many activists have been pushing forward to address college hazing. The anti-hazing law signed by President Biden would require schools to report annually incidents of hazing on their campuses. Federal law already requires schools to report safety issues, safety incidents on campuses that now.
This is more administrative work. So stupid. Now they're federally requiring you to report hazing incidents. Who introduced this to Biden and said that we need to make this law? Just honest to God. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Now expands to include hazing. You also see at the bottom of your screen the No Corruption Act. That's actually addressed at members of Congress to deny members of Congress who are convicted of public corruption issues, bribery, fraud, from collecting federal retirement benefits. That doesn't come at a moment of trivial nature. It doesn't come in a vacuum, Janelle.
Should that also apply to him and Hunter Biden and how he went about? Don't worry about it. So it only applies to members of Congress. It don't apply abroad. It don't go to everybody. It don't go to everybody. It only go to Congress members. All right, I'm with it.
In the same year, we saw members of Congress either convicted of or plead guilty to corruption issues. Bob Menendez, the New Jersey senator, convicted at trial. George Santos, the former New York congressman, pleaded guilty to face sentencing in February. Not a trivial moment for.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just think it needs to be more broad. I think it needs to be more sweeping and broad. That's one thing that I think that Biden, maybe he got it together.
That issue. But also, we saw Paris Hilton lobbying Congress in recent weeks, trying to get through a law that President Biden signed, among the others, that would crack down on abuse of young people in residential treatment facilities. Wide range of laws, but this is typical at the end of a Congress, the end of a presidency, when they're finishing up old business.
And Scott, we also saw President Biden grant clemency to some federal inmates earlier this week. Say more about that.
Yeah, that's firing up the talk radio circuit this holiday week. 37 of 40 men on federal death row have had their sentences shifted to life in prison instead of the death penalty. Donald Trump's already picked up on that, arguing that President Biden is going soft on crime or sending a message that is not of deterrence by doing so. The president has said that this is a shift from a policy of death penalty to a policy of life imprisonment to show the next administration what priorities should be. But to be clear, this is 37 out of 40, Chanel. 3 people will remain on federal death row, including the mass shooter from South Carolina, from the church, from Pittsburgh, from the synagogue, and the Boston Marathon bomber. Look for that to be an issue President-elect Trump picks up on before he takes office as something he argues is a misstep by President Biden.
All right. And we also know President Biden has now less than 2 weeks to make a decision on the deal between Japan's Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel. So what do we know about where he stands on this issue today?
An odd issue of parallel between President-elect Trump and President Biden. Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel, that merger has caused any amount of controversy in steelmaking communities. Think about Western Pennsylvania, Southeast Ohio, areas in which Democrats and Republicans have been fighting some pretty vicious battles to court voters. The CFIUS agency, the Committee on Foreign.
Let me back up for a minute. I want to share this list with you guys. I've been able to pull it up really quickly. President Biden signing the 50 bills into law. I want to go through them and share with y'all. The Native American Child Protection Act revises the Indian Child Abuse Treatment Grant Program, which provides grants to Native American tribes for those who have been victims of child sexual abuse. The law now encourages the use of culturally appropriate services through this program. Okay. Congressional Gold Medal awards a Congressional Gold Medal to Commander Salt River Project transfers the National Forest System land near Arizona's Salt River to the Bureau of Reclamation, which is set to use the area for generating hydropower for the Salt River Federal Reclamation Project. Chesapeake, Ohio Canal, Mountain View Corridor Completion Act, first responder equipment. Directs FEMA to implement a uniform process for reviewing applications regarding specific anti-terrorism grant to lower governments. The Shasta Trinity Marina fees. Collect fees for a marina in California's Shasta Trinity National Forest. Extension runs through fiscal year 2029. Paperwork Burden Reduction Act mandates that employers and health insurers no longer have to send 1095B or 1095C tax forms to covered individuals unless a form is otherwise requested. Employer Reporting Improvement Act. Great Lakes Stewardship Act, Drought Preparedness Act, Border Service Contractors. Direct DHS to provide an assessment to report to Congress about active contracts with a value of at least $50 million that are related to the procurement of services along the U.S.-Mexico land border. Eliminating Useless Reports Act. Determine whether to end or modify any of the recurring reports plans. Stop campus hazing. We know about that. Water and data improvement. Geological survey programs, any grants for water estimation, measurement, and monitor technology and methodologies. Man, I don't think that Biden ran through all of this. Ain't no way in the world. They just put a bunch of junk on his desk. The Hearts Act. Emergency medical services for children, Northern District of Alabama. Consolidate 7 existing divisions in the Northern District of Alabama into 5 division. Autism Cares Act. Utah State Parks, GSA Technology, Colorado River Salinity, land conveyance, detect fentanyl, research develop better equipment to detect dangerous illicit drugs. Share It Act requires federal agencies to ensure that any custom developed source code is owned by the respective agency and stored at no less than one repository and accessible to federal employees. Controlled Substances Act, Federal Agency Performance, the Beagle Brigade Act, No Corruption Act, that's the one with Congress, the Jenna Quinn Law, lets HHS give out grants for evidence-informed child abuse awareness and prevention programs. Working dog welfare, veteran benefits, Never Again Education Act, which amends the Never Again Education Act, which expanded the educational programming of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. Conservation enhancement. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to have to go through and read all of this. Bald Eagles, financial management. James Mountain, Whole. It's a lot of stuff. All right, I'll go through and read it all in my own time, but that's basically what's happening with the federal government as far as Biden on his way out of office. He decided that he wanted to sign all of these things into law. And Illinois also is implementing new laws.
Well, the new year is less than 1 week away. And you know what that means? It means we're going to be seeing some new laws in our state.
They will all go into effect next Wednesday. That is January 1st. And let's break down just a few of the ones that could actually impact you.
First, there's the minimum wage in the state that's going to be going up to $15 an hour. The state legislature approved that gradual increase nearly 5 years ago. Before 2020, the minimum wage had been...
Hey, shout out to homie that was sitting in Applebee's. Hold on. He was sitting
increased nearly 5 years ago.
Shout out to homie that is sitting in Applebee's having a good time. You see that? He having a beer. He looking at the $7.99 list. Applebee's, the happiest hour. You see that? You see that? He seemed happy. He got on his white tee. And my white tee. And my white tee. Ain't it weird how we able to notice certain things? It looked like he's sitting next to his homie. And they both having beers. And they both looking at a menu. Trying to get that sangria social. I think I'm going to go to Applebee's today. I think I'm gonna go to Applebee's. Y'all want to meet me at Applebee's today? Let's focus. Let's focus.
Before 2020, the minimum wage had been stuck at $8.25 for nearly 10 years, but it has been steadily climbing to reach $15 this year.
And also beginning next year, bigger companies must share pay scale details in their job postings. This new regulation updates the state's Equal Pay Act and affects employers with 15 or more staff
Oh,
members.
Jesus.
There is also a change coming to how vaping companies can advertise their products. The Prevent Youth Vaping Act is getting updated to make it illegal for a company to promote vapes in a way that could make someone think it's not a tobacco product.
A new House bill is set to make it mandatory for anyone selling a catalytic converter to provide its part number along with the ID number of the vehicle it was taken from.
So everybody out there selling catalytic converters, they trying to make it more difficult for you by being able to trace exactly where it came from. Hey, why do they got the people under the car? This is the most dangerous thing ever. The most dangerous thing ever to had a homie lifting up the car, you getting up under there trying to cut out the catalytic converter. That car could fall right on top of you, bro.
This new legislation aims to tackle the rising issue of catalytic converter thefts in Chicago and throughout Illinois. The state ranked fourth in the country with more than 2,000 theft claims from the years 2020 to 2022.
And next week, you're going to also be able to get a mobile driver's license and ID. This digital ID will be accepted by law enforcement instead of a physical card. You can also
Prince the Warring Angel is so butthurt right now. He looking for anything. He looking for anything. Hey dog, I'm not gonna ban you, bro. I want you to be able to get your thoughts off, get your rocks off, big dog. Learn something. Learn something and become a more productive citizen so that you too can prevent forest fires.
also choose to hide some personal information on the digital ID cards, such as your address, when you're just using it for something like buying alcohol.
And you can say goodbye to people parking on the shoulder of the highway near O'Hare. We know those cars can really get backed up there. Beginning next.
All right, we don't care nothing about that. The one thing I do want to know about y'all though is how do y'all feel about having a digital ID? I know that some people don't like it. Some people do like it. Some people like the fact that they'll be able to have it in their wallet the same way that they have all of their credit cards. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's just a part of technology. It's coming. Ain't nothing you could do about it. You might as well embrace it. So, anyways, yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. Everything is changing. It's a bunch of lame duck laws that's signed into place. And that's what's going on in your federal and your local government over in Chicago.